What's up, everybody? Welcome to week 4 of the Flex. I was gone last week, but guess what? I am back. I'm out of town. That's why the background's a little different, but that is okay. No worries. I'm here to tell you who's starting your Flex, so let's get started. First, we have Dennis asking, full PPR, Amari Cooper or Tyler Boyd, who to start in his Flex? And honestly, this is a no-brainer to me, aside from the fact that Tyler Boyd has a better matchup in Atlanta and has balled out the past 2 games, and AJ Green's a little hobbled. Amari Cooper, like, why are you even thinking about starting Amari Cooper? He is not consistent anymore in fantasy football, if he ever was to begin with. Derek Carr is really not throwing to his wide receivers outside of Jordy last game, so don't even think about starting Amari Cooper. And he's a bad matchup against Cleveland. Don't do it. This is Tyler Boyd all the way, and honestly, Tyler Boyd might be someone you start every week from now on, depending on how he performs this week, because if he performs good this week, then I don't even think he should be mentioned in these Flex questions. All right, our next question is from Uriel. He wants to know, Flex, PPR League, Kerryon Johnson, Nelson Aguilar, Antonio Galloway, or Chris Godwin. This is interesting. Nelson Aguilar has Carson Wentz back, but he wasn't used last week. Carson Wentz used his tight ends a lot, and I don't know if that's going to be an aberration. I mean, Zach Ertz is heavily used. Nelson Aguilar was hit or miss last year, so I'm kind of hesitant to start him on the road against Tennessee, who has an average defense, not that great, but I don't think he's going to be a #1 option there. Antonio Galloway, listen, Baker Mayfield looked good. I don't know what his role is going to be, and as I say every week, fantasy football is about predictability and probability, and I can't predict what this guy's going to be. He might turn around and have 100 yards for a touchdown, but I really just don't know right now, so I'm going to hold the brakes on him. Chris Godwin has scored a touchdown in a few games, and Fitzpatrick has looked his way, but they're playing against the Bears. I think Fitzmagic is kind of dying down. I know I've been picking on the Bucs ever since this show started, but they're going into Chicago against that Bears defense that's very opportunistic. I wouldn't start Chris Godwin at all. So by default, I'm going Kerryon Johnson, who I do like. He did put up 100 yards last week, the first line to do so in years. PPR, I'm not sure if he's going to catch many passes, but the yards should be there, the opportunity should be there, and the opportunity to score a touchdown should be there, which is the most important thing in fantasy football. So if you're going to ask me between those 4 people, I'm going Kerryon Johnson. All right, our next question comes from Aaron. He wants to know, who should I play in standard, Emmanuel Sanders, Robert Woods, or Marvin Jones? I'll start with Marvin Jones. I love Marvin Jones going forward. He plays more snaps than Golden Tate. He plays more snaps than Galladay. He just hasn't had the production yet, but I do think it's coming. I just wouldn't start him this week against a Dallas defense that I think is underrated and who hasn't really given up points to the wide receiver position this year at all. So for now, I think I would bench him in this scenario. Robert Woods is kind of like playing roulette, right? I mean, you have Woods, you have Kupp, you have Cooks. That offense is really good. I do think they win tonight against the Vikings, but at the same time, it's kind of like roulette. I think the Vikings defense is on a mission to redeem themselves against that atrocity that was last week against the Buffalo Bills. I would sit Robert Woods, not sure what you're going to get from him. And to me, Emmanuel Sanders is just a must-start. At this point, you have to start him. I don't understand why you would even think about benching him. I said start him in week 1. He went off. He had a touchdown against Baltimore. He's Case Keenum's favorite target. I love Emmanuel Sanders. I don't even think this should be a question. You should start Emmanuel Sanders every single week. All right, and our final question comes from Tyler. He wants to know who to start in the standard league, Kenny Galladay, Quincy Enunwa, or Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon, like I said, we don't know what we're going to get from him. I always talk about predictability and probability. I have no idea where we're at with Josh Gordon. He might turn out to be a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy football from here on out, but we just don't know yet. And until I see it, I'm not starting him. I like him on your team. I think you should stash him until you know what you're getting from him. Right now, we have no idea. You're literally playing roulette. Literally. Don't do it. Don't do it. Quincy Enunwa, listen, I like him a lot. I like him a lot going forward, but he's playing against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that's enough. I mean, I don't really have to say anything outside of that. I mean, he's playing against a really good pass defense, played against one last week against the Browns. I think if you're an Enunwa owner, you're probably going to be discouraged after this week because I don't think he's going to put up big numbers again against a very good defense. You have a rookie quarterback. I don't think he gets in the end zone this week, although I do think he has the targets. He might have like 5 receptions on 10 targets, something like that. But they're going to look to shut him down because that's the only weapon they have. You know, Robbie Anderson's not doing anything. I think the Jags focus on him. So start Kenny Galladay. I don't really like the matchup against Dallas, like I said, with the Marvin Jones thing. But out of those 3, I mean, Galladay's balling right now. And Matt Stafford seems to be looking his way. He's a huge red zone target. So even though Dallas hasn't given up points to wide receivers, I would bank on him probably scoring out of anybody out of those 3 receivers, out of Tate, out of Jones, because he's the biggest target. So go Galladay. I think that's simple. And all right, that does it. That was week 4 of the flex. I should be back in my studio next week. If not, you'll get another one of these videos, but I will still answer your questions. Do not be afraid to hit up Dustin's waiver wire video with questions. Just address, Josh, flex, who should I start, all that good stuff, and I will answer them next week. Thanks for tuning in. Till next week, week 5. Good luck, everybody.